Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying for Beginners with Jim Misiura. Today I'm going to tie a Chartreuse Comet. I designed this after the Comet, which is a steelhead fly. But this Chartreuse, this will work good for crappies. This is a small, this hook that I have in the vise is a general purpose straight eye size 12. It's a pretty hefty hook. But this is going to work good for crappies, panfish, perch, crappies, things like that will work good. And it will also work good on steelhead and this small version. The materials, I told you what the hook is. Just going to use a single Chartreuse Hackle. This is, you get the saltwater hackles, that's what they call them, and then a bead chain eye. There's one, and there's one on each side, and the bead chain is a Chartreuse bead chain, and you can get these are just pull chains from for lights. Then we're going to use a little bit of Chartreuse floss. This actually isn't even a real floss. It's some kind of a little poly yarn there, but it works pretty nice. And we're also going to use a silver tinsel. I have a silver and gold. This is a number 18. I'm going to put that in my material clip so I don't lose it. And I'm going to use Chartreuse thread. This just happens to be good abroad. I don't think they make thread anymore for fly tying, but we're going to start this behind the eye, and we're going to trim that. Just take the poke and snip quick and get that off. We're going to start with the eyes. We're going to put those eyes on there, and we're going to give it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that direction, and then I'm going to go 5 in the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to go over the hook and under the beads, over the hook and under the beads, and give that about 5. Maybe I went a little bit more on that, but now it's straight. It's actually the far one is actually still canted a little bit. So I'll put a few more wraps on that one to bring that into the straight. There we go. And then we could go ahead and go under the beads and over the hook shank again. And I'm going to bring my thread back to the tail position. One more thing about the eyes. If you go, when you first tie them on, if I go 5 in one direction, if you take 10 wraps the opposite direction, it will actually straighten them out. And we're bringing the thread back to the tail position, and we're going to go just inside the point of the hook. I'm just right at the beginning of the barb there, maybe a little bit in front. I'm going to take my Chartreuse hackle, and I'm going to use this fluff on the back for the tail. Now, if you're using the fluff and you want a really, really thick tail, what you want to do is you pull it a little bit and then fold that over onto what's in back. Pull it a little bit, fold it over again, and do that until you have your desired amount. There we have a nice tail there. Those couple small ones there, I'll just break them off. I'm going to clean up that front there just a little bit. I'm going to make a small tail on this, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to keep the material the length of the shank. So give it a few loose ones, and then I'm going to bring it up. Sometimes if you put a little saliva on there, you could control them a little better. I'm going to quickly go up, and this way I'm going to keep the body level. If you go ahead and cut it off, say where that lump is there, where you can see that's not tied in yet, if that was the end, then you would have a lump and then straight. So if you keep it long, you're going to have a nice level body. Then we're going to bring that right up, and there you can see that nice level body. Now I'm going to take my gold and silver tinsel, and I'm going to tie it in so that I can see the gold side when I tie it in. And I'm going to bring my thread up forward, and doing this, I really don't even need that floss on there for the body, because got a nice, you got to make sure that you have it covered good. You can see the tinsel through there a little bit. Now I'm going to take my Chartreuse floss. This is very skinny stuff. I could probably use this as tying thread. I'm going to take myself off. Well, I've got about 10 inches here, but that's might be too much. You never know. Go ahead and trim that off. And you can see when I cut it, it frayed there. You just go ahead and run it over your tongue. Then it will get it in control. I'm going to tie this in. Just take a loose loop, and now I'm going to pull it so that tag gets right down, so I don't have to cut, because it's really hard to cut around the eyes here. I'm going to go ahead and give this a half hitch or a whip finish. Just a single half hitch will do. And it was stuck on my finger there. And I'm going to take my bobbin cradle, and I'm going to put that in the bobbin cradle. And now I can go ahead and rotate my vise to wrap this thread or this floss. So we go ahead and wrap this. And what the bobbin cradle does is it keeps when you're rotating your vise, it keeps your bobbin and thread from winding around the hook shank and climbing. So we'll go to the end, cover everything, and then we're going to bring that back. And you can see it's making a little bit fatter of a body. I'm holding this tight. You want to keep things tight. And we'll bring that back up. And then now, because my bobbin was long, I have to reel in some of it. And we can go ahead and tie this in. Go fold it back and put a couple of wraps in front of it. One of the biggest mistakes that beginners do when they're tying is they put too many wraps on. So 3 wraps or 4 wraps is plenty to hold things. Now I'm going to take my tinsel and I'm going to wrap that. And now, because it's only 3 or 4, I'm not going to put my thread in the cradle. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to tie that in there. Just 1, 2, 3. You can fold it back and give it another couple of wraps. And we'll go ahead and trim that off. Bring that back up. Another thing with this, just as why I'm thinking about it, with these beads, they're heavy, they're metal. The fly should float upside down, or not float, but it should be, the beads will be the heavy part, it'll go up and your hook point will be up. Now I'm going to take my chartreuse feather again. I'm going to peel a lot of this off. Yeah, I can leave that on there, but I'm going to tie this in by the tip. And I want to tie it in. Okay, there's the concave side is towards you, and I'm going to tie it in like this by the tip. So you just want to grab the tip. Whoop. I could even go ahead and put some hackle pliers on there just to grab the tip of it. And then stroke these all back. And the inside of the feather is still towards you. Try to even them out on the front there, close as you can. I'm holding them all back to keep them out of the way. I'm going to tie this in right there. Doesn't matter if you tie it on top or bottom. I put 3, and then I'm going to come around the front, maybe give it a little bit of a figure 8 there. And I'm going to trim off that excess. Now the back side is still towards you. I'm going to pull as much as I can of the hackle to the one side, which is I'm pulling it towards you. I'm going from the top to the bottom of the hackle and taking it to the outside, and that is a little bit loose, I can see already, so I'm going to put a couple more wraps on there. And now with that, with this hackle having all of that, look, I have like 2 inches of hackle that are clean there, and it gives you a good handle. That way you don't have to use your hackle pliers. Got a couple of them going out towards the front there. We'll get rid of them when we're done here. I'm going to bring that right up to, there we go. Wrapped all of that in there. I'm going to tie this in. Now, because you see those ones in the front, try to get that thread in front of them. 1, 2, and I can see that I'm pulling them. You can go ahead and grab them and pull them back. 3. I'm going to pull those back. Whoop. Let me get rid of this stem first. Take my poke and snip and cut that off. Now you see all these, couple of them that are going forward. Take them carefully and pull them back. Maybe give it another 3 wraps. Ow. Stuck my finger. And I'm going to tie it off in front. Just make yourself a nice little head there. Take that whip finish. Like I said, this will be a really nice little crappie fly. Crappies, for some reason, they like the chartreuse. Just give that 3 to 5 wraps with your whip finish. There we go. I'm going to give you the whip finish demonstration once again. Put the hook over the thread, go around the camel hump, bring it back, and now there's our X when I stand it up, and then just wrap once, twice, 3 times, 3 to 6 turns. Tug that in there tight. Take your poke and snip again, and the poke and snip is just a cuticle trimmer. Now I'm going to take my Sally Hansen's, and I just got a brand new bottle, so it's really filled. And what I do is just rotate it, and that is pushing the excess down so you don't have too much on there. And again, always keep a nice cut a nice point in the tip of your brush. I cut one if I like this one. I got this, it's nice, it's at a nice point, so I just keep putting it in the new bottle instead of cutting one every time. And now if you got some if you happen to get some glue inside the eye, just take a feather from your desk and put it through the eye of that hook. But I'll use this on trout in the winter time. It'll be good for salmon, and it is also good for crappie. You can use this, you might even be able to use this through the ice if you wanted. But hope that you learned something from this video. Hope that you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Please visit my sponsors and let them know that I sent you. Leave comments, questions, suggestions. If you'd like to purchase any flies that I tie, go to etsy.com/shop/theflymanjim. And if you don't see it there, just send me a message through Etsy and tell me what you're looking for, and we'll figure it out. And most of all, thank you very much for watching my videos.